Welcome back to the Perfect Season Podcast. It's a super amazing podcast, talks about everything, all things sports related, and absolutely nothing to do with milk and cookies. My name is Alex, and we're here today with Anthony, just the two of us. We're going to be going over week 9 of the NFL.
Can I just say something?
What?
Alabama lost.
Alabama lost, and then you know what? Mathematically, I think Alabama's out, which is okay with me.
I'm okay with that.
I'm perfectly fine with that as well. So, with all of that being said, let's get right
It is
into
the week 9 overview.
It is the week 9 overview.
Halfway through the season.
We are now officially halfway through the season. We are officially halfway through the regular season now. So
it's crazy. The season's going by fast.
It's going by way too fast. It is going by extremely fast. We went from the first 9 games, which is kind of like finding out who the front runners are for the playoffs. Now that it's week 10, it's trying to figure out who is making the playoffs and who's going to be eliminated.
Are you eating your words about the Jets?
I think the Jets got lucky.
I mean, Josh Allen did get hurt.
Josh Allen got hurt. He might be out for up to 4 weeks now because he did injure his throwing arm. So that could
be my fantasy team.
Yes, especially that. It could.
But do I lose Trevor and get someone else in free agency?
I think you just play Trevor for this week, and then you try to get somebody else in free agency next week if Josh Allen is healthy. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing, and I got multiple.
I'll see how it is later on in the week. I'm gonna give it to like
Friday. I worry about that on Friday. So so the Jets beat. So I guess we're gonna start off with probably the biggest game of the week, and not the biggest in terms of like but like the most surprising game of the week. The Jets beat Buffalo on a very bad win. Well, no, you know what?
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
It was a good win. The Jets defense has looked absolutely amazing this season. Their offense, Zach Wilson looked competent this game for probably, honestly, the first time all season, in my honest opinion. The Jets are looking good. They're sitting right now second in the AFC East, which is honestly crazy. They're beating Miami because of a tiebreaker game that they won back in week 5. And the only reason why they're not beating out Buffalo is because Buffalo is currently 6-2 heading into they're 6-2, and they just came out of their bye week a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So they're still technically, in terms of statistics, Bills are still first, Jets and Dolphins second and third, Patriots in fourth, but not a distant fourth. Patriots are 5-4 on the season right now.
5-4. I mean, they're still gonna lose. They're not making the playoffs.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. The AFC East is the division this year. As crazy as that sounds, it's the only division in the NFL right now where all 4 teams are above 500. Not even above 500 too. The Jets are above 500.
I know. Jets are gonna have a top 15 pick.
Ooh, wait, say that again. You think the Jets are gonna have a top 15 pick?
Yeah, like late.
Like a late pick. Yeah. I think I can get behind that. But yeah, I mean, it was a complete mess up by Buffalo. And the thing is that now that Allen could be out for up to 4 weeks. They're playing against the 2nd seed in the NFC. They're playing the Vikings this week as well at Buffalo. And if they lose Josh Allen, the Bills can realistically, if they lose this week, can fall to 3rd place.
Yeah.
Overnight,
it'd be Miami, New York, then the Bills.
I think the Jets would still the Jets are on bye this week. So with the Jets on bye, if Miami wins and the Bills lose, then Miami shoots up to 1st, then the Jets, then Buffalo, which is still crazy.
That makes sense.
But dude, until all the bye weeks get through, none of this isn't gonna be easy. Let's see. Aside from
let's just get it off the table. The Colts situation.
The Colts situation.
You fired Frank Reich,
which needed to happen. It needed to happen.
You hire a coach who went 3-7 in high school, 3-7, not 500, and then their play caller for the offense has never called plays.
You put into question what Jim Irsay is doing with the Indianapolis Colts right now, and it has come down to this: the Colts are 3-5-1 right now. They haven't had their bye week. Their offense has been completely dead. Jonathan Taylor has not lived up to the season that he's had last year. Quarterback play has been abysmal. The offensive line is falling apart. The receivers cannot get anything right. not because of them. It's not the receiver's fault. The quarterback situation is just bad. Now, then again, if you got to give the Colts one shred of credit or like anything to kind of build off of, they did play against the Patriots defense, which is a top 5 defense. Honestly, probably the best defense.
The Colts get a top 10 pick.
That's not a hot take right now with how they've been playing. Unless I don't know what's happening. I still think Sam Ehlinger is still slated to be the starter heading into next week against Vegas, believe it or not.
Don't even get me started about it.
But here's the thing. You have Jeff Saturday as an interim head coach. Jeff Saturday even questioned the decision of Jim Irsay of why he was picked to be the head coach. So you have there's two differing views. The Colts become the most amazing team, superstars for the rest of the season. Jim Irsay is branded as a genius, or the Colts are tanking and they're trying to get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud in the draft.
Which is my hot take. CJ Stroud's going to be a bust.
You say that about every Ohio State quarterback.
I mean, look at what Ohio State quarterback have you seen in the NFL that has done good?
As of the last couple of weeks, Justin Fields.
Besides Justin Fields.
Oh, okay. Besides Justin Fields, right? Yeah.
Besides Justin Fields.
Besides Justin Fields. And you know what? That's about where the list ends right there. Technically, if you want to get specific, if you really want to play that game, Joe Burrow.
I mean, how many seasons was he at Ohio State? Or my bad, the Ohio State.
He was there for. I know he was there for at least. Well, I mean, he got recruited by Ohio State and then transferred to LSU. So I think at least 3. I know for a fact at least 3.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we're not going to count. We're not going to count. Burrow,
it's just I don't count Burrow being an Ohio State quarterback.
Well, obviously,
I count him.
He did what he
I
did
count him
LSU.
only as LSU.
Yeah, exactly, and that's completely fair. But here's the thing, and you have to acknowledge this. And there's always been a huge belief that the big name schools had horrible quarterbacks that would go into the league. Typically, Alabama. However, the last 3 Alabama quarterbacks that have been drafted have been Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, and those 3 guys alone. Not a bad list. 2 of them are starters looking top 10 in Jalen Hurts and Tua as of late. Mac Jones is not the worst quarterback to have. But anyway, so besides
Mac Jones is like
Mac Jones is painfully average, and I will keep.
Mac Jones is like picking apples, and you get the one apple that has like one bump on it.
Interesting analogy, but I like it.
Big brains.
So aside from that, the Chargers beat Atlanta in Atlanta off of honestly probably one of the saddest games that I've seen. The Chargers offense has not lived up to the hype that they've been doing. Now, for granted, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are out. That's understandable. You're not wide receiver 1 and 2 are out. Who do you have left? Gerald Everett, Austin Eckler. You have Josh Palmer, DeAndre Carter. I mean, the last 2 are the starting wide receiver 1 and 2. And you got to give Palmer credit. He stepped up to the plate, but that's about it. Atlanta with a big win here to go at 5-4.
I mean, if you look at that division, you got Atlanta. Whoever's going to win that division is going to take it either 7-10 or 9-7.
I'd be surprised if the winner of the South even goes above 500, but it's still a possibility.
I mean, the Bucks are in first place at 4-5,
which is not an impressive season to have now.
No. Now we got Germany this week.
It's interesting. Germany.
That is going to be an interesting game.
9:30 game in Munich, which I think is pretty interesting on Sunday.
Yeah, but
I mean,
and then let me talk about the Raiders game.
Let's get to that in a second. We'll save that for when we get to that point in the list. Okay.
What's next?
Worry. It's coming up. Well, we have Miami, Chicago. Miami-Chicago was the highest scoring game.
Yeah, I know you were shivering in your boots.
I was really scared during that game because yes, we beat the Bears 35-32. I'm always happy for a win, but I will be the first person to say that in the final drive that the Bears had, that was pass interference. And we should have lost.
I didn't see the game. So
regardless, I saw that play. I saw the pass.
And I saw the replay.
Yeah.
The man was all over him.
Exactly. Because I remember I was watching that game and I winced. I was like, ooh, they're gonna call that. And then they didn't call it. And I'm like, oh, I will take it. I'm not gonna say anything. But Miami comes away with a win, 6-3. Dolphins
Do
are
you
6-0 with
see
Tua.
do you see the Bears being obviously playing better football, we can say. They're playing better
I'm not
football.
gonna lie to you, and
They're
I
playing
know
better football.
I've
But do
had
you see that in the next 5 years, do they make the playoffs?
I would say within the next 2 years, honestly. I think this year, absolutely not. I mean, the Bears have no
No, the
receivers.
Bears are terrible.
But look at what Justin Fields in the past couple of weeks has done with only having Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool this past week, and Claypool only went two catches for 13 yards.
I mean,
And Fields just set
it was
records.
Claypool's first game.
I mean, you got to give him
It
some
was
credit.
his first game with the Bears. So what do you expect?
Exactly, and that's why I'm not here to rip on Claypool, because it was his first game and he hasn't even been a Bear for a week yet. Or no, as of today, he's been a Bear for 8 days. But still,
that's even better.
But you got to give the Bears credit. I mean, they're staying in there. Yes, they're 3-6, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a shot for over 500, not playoffs,
but over 500
is a potential for them.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very drawn out.
I'll say this: if the Bears make the playoffs in the next 2 years, I'll take back what I said about Justin Fields.
I think you should already take back what you want to say. I think you should take back what you said about Justin Fields, regardless.
I mean, there's still a lot. There's still a lot of football left to play.
The guy just set a record. Most rushing yards and touchdowns by a quarterback since Michael Vick. That's a pretty impressive record to be breaking in your second year with no wide receivers.
Besides Chase Claypool.
And Darnell Mooney. Next on the list, we had Carolina at Cincinnati.
That was just a slugfest.
That was brutal. And Cincinnati,
Carolina, they're tanking for, I don't know who.
The thing
Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Honestly, the thing that upset me about that Carolina game is they had PJ Walker in at halftime. The guy was 3 for 10 for like 2 interceptions and like maybe 20 yards. And at the time, Cincinnati was winning 35-0. Now you start.
And Baker, Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns,
5 all-purpose touchdowns, 4 rushing, 1
receiving. 50 points in fantasy.
53.1 points in fantasy, which is the record for most amount of points scored in a single week so far this season. Second most all time. And you went up against them too.
I know. That's why I got burned.
Yeah. Well, talk to me when you play against Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler last year during the Thanksgiving games, where both of them combined put up 97 points. So that was a bad week. But anyway,
it's just a bad over. If you're a Panthers fan, which there's not many of, there's not many of them nowadays.
No, but here's the thing about the Panthers.
If you're a Panthers fan,
look what they did when they started Baker Mayfield. Did they come back and win? Absolutely not. I mean, the game was.
But they scored touchdowns.
They were able to put 3 touchdowns on the board before the game was over. 42-21. Baker's
you still lost.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, of course you're going to lose. You're losing 35-0 at halftime. When was the last time that a team won while being down 35 points?
I haven't seen that in a while.
It's been one time in history, I believe, and that was a playoff game back in like the 80s or 90s, or probably early.
Of course, because we weren't thoughts. So,
Okay, outside of that, Green Bay losing to Detroit in Detroit.
I'm calling it. I was the only one that predicted that game.
Of course, anyone could have, because the lines were 1-6 at the time.
But Green Bay's terrible.
Oh, there's no way around that. Of course they are.
Green Bay, is it? Do you say it's time to start Jordan Love?
No.
Do you bench Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely not. You're paying the guy $50 million just to sit on the bench?
Yeah, but look at what he hasn't done anything with the Packers.
Okay, but I mean, I don't.
Besides, yes, I know there is injuries. There's injuries. It's point blank.
Of course. Well, I mean, their defense is getting banged up pretty bad now. I mean, they just lost Quez Walker, Rashawn Gary, I think, to the rest of the season with a ACL tear, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But their offense.
They just picked up Jonathan Abram from the Raiders.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. He's terrible.
Ooh, so scary.
Which, let me get into the Raiders.
Soon. That's coming up soon. Okay.
On deck.
It's getting there. I'll let you know when it's up there. But anyway, Green Bay's not making the playoffs. The Vikings have already locked up that spot. I think it's beneficial for the past couple of weeks now. We already talked about Patriots in Indianapolis. Already talked about the Jets. The Vikings coming back and beating Washington in a very interesting last couple minutes in the fourth quarter. Minnesota improves to 7-1 on the season.
I mean, Minnesota, I told you before the season started, Minnesota's taking that division.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I will admit it. I was wrong and you were correct. I just didn't see.
I am right for once.
I did not see the Vikings being able to put up a 7-1
Okay,
season. So
if the
far in
Packers
first 9
lose
weeks.
out, I'm calling it. Detroit's going to take second place.
I'm still probably going to say the Bears.
So you're saying Minnesota? You're saying
Okay.
Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay?
No, because you said if the Packers lose out. If I'm talking about what I would think of the North being Vikings, Packers, Bears, Lions. That's still what I would stand by. Okay, so here we go, Anthony. Now it's time for the Raiders at Jacksonville. Go ahead and talk about.
You want me to just get in my overall experience?
Go ahead and talk about the 2-6 Las Vegas Raiders.
You mean 2-7?
I thought they're 2-6, and you guys have your bye week already.
We just lost.
Yeah, but did you guys have a bye week already?
No. Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, so you're 2-6.
No, we're 2-7.
You had a bye week, correct?
Yes.
You're 2-6.
We're 2-7.
Anthony, 9 weeks have been completed.
Yeah.
There's a bye week, so that's -1 game, correct?
Yeah.
How many weeks have you played?
8 weeks.
What's the record?
Math is hard, okay?
Anyway,
Math is hard.
Let's talk about what happened with the Raiders, because this is not the first time that they have choked.
They need McDaniels. McDaniels needs to go.
Okay, but this is worse. This is worse than just McDaniels, because this is the third game that the Raiders have had 3 or more scores heading into halftime, and they lost.
I know.
This is the second time where it was 20, and once where it was 17. Who were the 20s? You had the Cardinals,
Arizona,
and you had the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, what was the other one? Kansas City, 17-0, and you still lost that game.
They should have never went. Josh McDaniels is not fit to be a head coach.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm very
They need to fire McDaniels. This is what I'm saying. Everyone wants to blame Derek Carr for the loss.
It's kind of hard not to.
Is some of his mistakes his fault? Yes. But we were also a Darren Waller. And what I noticed, Derek Carr was forcing plays to Devontae Adams.
Well,
they were double teaming Devontae Adams. You know who was open 90% of the plays? Matt Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Collins should have been targeted more.
Yeah.
And their defense is atrocious.
Ooh.
Vegas.
Yeah, I know. Jacksonville was able to put 24 points on them and win the game.
27.
Was it 27?
Yeah, it was 27.
That doesn't help your case any better.
Yeah, I know. We're terrible. We're projected to have the 3rd pick, and I was reading something. It's either going to be Will Anderson or CJ Stroud.
I don't think it's going to be a quarterback. I think it's safe to say that it won't be a quarterback, but you have to put it into comparison. Here's the thing, Anthony. You can blame the head coach all you want, because at the end of the day,
because he's the one calling the play.
Exactly.
He's the one calling the plays.
The play calling is fair. If you want to blame the play calling, yes, but you also have to admit that some of the issues is with Derek Carr.
Yes, I'm not saying Derek Carr's a perfect
because look at what the games Josh Jacobs has had over the past couple of weeks, and what did Josh Jacobs do this past game?
Jack squat.
Exactly. And you know what? They finally realized that having, arguably one of the best wide receivers on your team means that you should throw the ball to him, which is completely different than what happened with the Saints game.
What I'm saying, it's too predictable. It's too predictable.
I mean, you're correct, Anthony, because here's the thing.
That's like when the Bucks played the Rams last year. Jalen Ramsey and their defensive backs would double team Mike Evans.
Yeah, of course. So now Mike Evans can't catch anything.
That's why you got to go to Godwin. You got to go to Scotty Miller. Now back on the team, Tyler Johnson and Jalen Dar, all these receivers. That's what it's so easy to figure it out.
Here's the thing, okay? Back to the Raiders. It is so easy to figure out the Raiders offense because you only have 2 players on that offense that are worth anything, obviously besides Derek Carr. Josh Jacobs And the Jacksonville
And
Jaguars have
Devontae
a
Adams.
very good front seven. Their defensive line was very well with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. They are very, very good. And also Yannick Ngakoue. And Foy Saida Lukun too.
You cut out after you said Yannick.
Yannick Ngakoue, or no, he's not on the Jaguars anymore. That was a long time ago. But
I remember when he was on the Jags.
Foyeside Olukun. I know I butchered his name, and I'm so sorry, but that's the guy that they paid $15 million a year to do nothing.
But what I will
here's
say,
the thing: you double covered Devontae Adams because Derek Carr is just forcing the ball to him.
Derek Carr was using Devontae as a safety blanket.
Of course, and you know what? The safety blanket got figured out. That's all he had to do. That is the easiest way to.
That's what I'm saying. But you also have to utilize more than just one receiver.
Yeah, but you also have to realize what other Raiders offensive weapons have done anything this season. Like you have Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow had a great season last year, and what has he done this year? Mm-hmm. Nothing. Matt Collins is a very good wide receiver.
Derek Carr's forcing it to Devontae.
Mm. And Matt Collins is a good wide receiver, but trust me, I know Matt Collins like the back of my head. He used to be a Dolphins player last year. Matt Collins is a good player. He is not a starting wide receiver. He is a wide receiver 4. Trust me.
Well, the Raiders don't have no one else besides him.
Exactly, because we could get into this in a whole other episode, but the Raiders have honestly one of the worst scouting/drafting abilities in the entire league. But aside from that, Seattle played against Arizona. Seattle won. Arizona kind of had it a little bit close in the beginning, but didn't.
I mean, like I said, I've missed half the games because I was coming home from Jacksonville.
Which is understandable.
So, who won this one?
Seattle.
And Tampa plays Seattle this week. Seattle's looking good.
Seattle's 6-3, head of the NFC West, and they are currently situated in 4th place. No, give me a second. 3rd.
I'll be the first to say this. Arizona's missing the playoffs.
I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, they're 3-6 right now.
Is Kyler in his contract year?
Yes, this is his 4th year, but he also, I think he signed his 5th year.
I think they signed someone. They signed out someone else. I think.
Dude, the issue is not Kyler Murray. It's Cliff Kingsbury, who they just signed to an extension over the weekend.
It's Kingsbury. It's a mix of him and Kyler.
I would agree, but you know what? At the end of the day, Anthony, it's just like with the Raiders, the play calling is the issue. You can't blame the quarterback 24/7.
They need a. They should have never.
It's easy.
They should have just re-signed. They should have just re-signed Rich Bisaccia.
Yes, I would completely agree with that, but they didn't.
They should have.
They should have. You're completely correct.
Rooting for the Raiders. It's a typical Raider thing.
Yeah.
They had a lead. The Raiders are the new Falcons.
I mean, with the season that you've had so far, you've choked away 3 games, and
my heart was in occasions.
And honestly, dude, with the Raiders season that they've had so far,
at the end of the game, I got a beer thrown at me.
Yeah, that doesnn't surprise me. But you need to get Devontae Adams back.
All you heard in Jacksonville was Duval.
Yeah, that's their claim to fame. That's their claim to fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what county they're in?
Duval.
Yes, sir. All right. So aside from that, we have Tampa Bay and the Rams. Tampa Bay coming off of, I don't even know how they were able to come back. I turned that game off when it was 13-9. So I'm not entirely sure how they came back.
We got lucky. That's all I'm saying. Our defense came up clutch when they needed it.
About time.
I know.
Bucs defense has been looking obsolete as of late. It's about time that they finally did something. Aside from that, you also got very lucky that the Rams also had a very bad game. Their offense is looking atrocious. The only person on their offense that's worth anything is Cooper Kupp. Their defense is just fine. They were able to hold the Bucs 16 points. But
Stafford's in concussion protocol now.
Is he? I didn't even see that.
I don't know if you saw that.
I did not know he was in.
I literally all day listen to sports radio.
I mean, we knew that the Rams were bad, but I mean, Tampa Bay.
Rams are not making the playoffs.
That's obvious.
Got point blank.
I would agree, but honestly, Tampa Bay 9 games in, 4-9, not looking good for them either.
4-5.
Oh, sorry. I think I was just making a late game prediction of what the Bucs season was going to go to by week 14. I apologize. Nah, I'm messing. I messed that up. Yeah, 4-5. Not looking good for them either. Despite being first, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost it to Atlanta somehow too. Doing the reverse choke with Atlanta.
Yeah.
The 8:20 game, the night game, Kansas City at Tennessee. Kansas City coming off of a close close win. They barely won 20-17 against the Tennessee Titans, in which Malik Willis, for the second starting game in a row, has not thrown a passing touchdown.
I mean,
This is exactly what we figured he was going to do. And you know what? It's fine. Derrick Henry,
he's learning the offense.
and that's fair. There's nothing wrong with learning.
I mean,
the
here's my
offense.
hot take.
Uh-huh.
Who do you see being a more produced quarterback in the league? Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett? Because
Neither.
obviously, this draft class for QBs was terrible.
I would completely agree with that. Yes.
Like burnt rack of cookies, basically.
Well, because Kenny Pickett was rumored to be the most NFL ready quarterback, and the guy has thrown more picks than what is in his name.
He has like baby hands.
Well, I mean, not too. He's the smallest hands out of any NFL quarterback. But regardless of him, I mean, Kenny Pickett has a wide receiver core to throw to. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, stuff like that, and he hasn't been able to utilize them properly. Najee Harris has been looking horrible this season.
Yeah. I'll say this though about Jacksonville. Travis Etienne's looking good.
Travis Etienne is looking legit, and Trevor Lawrence needs to step it up a little bit more to prove that he's worth a first-round pick.
I mean,
he
starts off slow to games. He works his way into it.
Yeah, but that's not something you'd want out of a quarterback.
Yeah.
So, final game of the week, Baltimore at New Orleans. Baltimore being able to win the game against the New Orleans Saints without Mark Andrews.
I mean, Baltimore's looking good. I'll say that point blank.
Baltimore is looking really, really good. They are 6-3 heading into their bye week. First place in the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
Behind, I mean, who's right behind them? Cincinnati's 5-4.
Cincy is 5-4.
And they're also going into their bye week.
I think.
I want to say they are, but I'm not too sure about that.
Nah.
Because the Browns just got out of their bye week and they're playing this week.
Oh, the Browns play a football game this week. Whoop-de-doo.
Or wait, no, it's the Browns. Yeah, the Browns just had their bye week.
Yeah.
They got out of their bye week. They had bye week 9. But I think the Bengals, if I'm not
Tampa
mistaken,
has their bye week next week.
Yeah, Dolphins do as well as the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. I know there's one other team, I just can't think of them right now. Yeah, Cincinnati's on bye this week because I can't figure out who they're playing against, but it makes sense. But aside from that, that's been week 9. I mean, is there anything else?
Week 9. I mean, another interesting week. If we want to touch base, I'm still gonna say, I think the Jets make a wild card spot.
And you know what? With how the AFC's been producing, there have been teams that have been surprising and teams that have been disappointing.
I'll say this: one team that won't make the playoffs. It's obvious, Arizona.
Well, yes.
A team from last year, the Rams.
That's pretty obvious. Yeah, they're 3-6.
And a team that will make the playoffs, the Giants. I'm calling it. They're shaking things around.
I mean, they started off 6-2 heading into their bye week. It's hard to not see them make a playoff spot, but
I see them making a wild card spot.
I don't see them being a playoff worthy team. But they had a great.
But it is the Giants, so you do never know what happens.
They had a great early rounds. They had a great early half of the season. It wouldn't surprise me if they get the playoff.
And I'll tell you this: if Tampa somehow falls off, I'm saying if. I doubt it's going to happen.
They will fall off.
Saying if. Let's hypothetically say they miss the playoffs.
Which they will.
They're not going to miss the playoffs.
You're right, because they'll win the divisional game and be 4th place at like a record of like 6-11.
They're basically the whole division is basically the division of the NFC East.
The NFC East of 2020. Yes, I would
completely. Yeah, I remember that.
I completely agree with that. Yes.
Did we go over the Thursday night game?
Yes, we did. Philadelphia, Houston.
Yeah, Houston had me on shambles for a little bit.
There's a couple seconds that looked a little that it would be an upset, but yeah.
But
so what I'm saying is, hypothetically, the Bucs actually doing something with this season.
Hypothetically, if the Bucs don't make the playoffs, back to what I was getting with this, and the Giants do. My grandpa's a diehard Giants fan. I'm rooting for the Giants in the playoffs.
I mean. I'll say this: if the Giants make the playoffs, I'm not going to be scared of them. If they make the 7th seed of the playoffs, then I'll be a little bit worried.
Because the Giants could be a Cinderella team.
Yes, just like the 2008 Super Bowl against the Patriots, in which they finished the season 9-7 in the 6th seed of the
remember that
playoffs,
game.
and they won. So
Imagine a Giants-Bills Super Bowl.
well, first we need to see if Josh Allen's going to play to see if he's even going to have enough effort to make.
If Josh Allen if Josh Allen gets shut down for the season, I doubt it's going to happen.
Well, the thing is that they're 6-2. They're heading into a potential option of having Josh Allen gone for 4 weeks. If the Bills fall off, that's 6-6. I don't think it's going to happen. I
And
severely
then
doubt
if they
that.
go to 6-6,
You're going to have to question what's going to happen with the Buffalo Bills. But even
if
then,
they go to
I don't
6-6,
see that
because
happening. I don't see that happening. I don't think Josh Allen's going to miss any time. I mean, they've been very
No.
they've been very quiet about his
if he does
evaluation.
miss the time, it's going to be like 1 or 2 games.
That maybe he might miss this game. I'm not too sure yet. There hasn't really been a whole lot of.
Who's their
reports on it.
backup?
That's a great question. I'm not too sure.
Frankie's taking the Bills this week.
Well, because we don't know what the status of Josh Allen is. But with all
No, but
that,
if Josh Allen gets shut down for the year,
I don't think
I
he's
can
gonna get shut
drop
down.
him in fantasy.
I don't think he's going to get shut down for the year, though.
I know. I'm just saying if it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying if he gets shut down for the year, I can drop him in fantasy, right?
You should be able to.
Okay, because I know there's some players that you can't drop.
You can drop. You can. I don't know exactly what it is, but usually your first, second, and potentially your third round picks are undroppable unless they're injured.
Yeah.
With like IR, like season-ending injuries. If they're not, I don't think you can drop them. But
okay, that's all I wanted to know.
But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with our predictions video shortly after this. More content on the way. But
okay.
With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.